Howdy, everybody. Thanks for joining me tonight. It's been a bit of a rough day. My car was running fine, but I needed to get a new battery put in it. There's something going on with like the heater blower thing, so I took it in to get a new battery. And then the battery swap somehow went bad, and the car's like interlocked and won't let anyone even put it in forward or reverse to drive it anywhere. None of the lights work, none of the windows, none of the turn signals. Nothing works on it. It sounds horrible when they start it up. I don't know what happened. All I wanted was a new battery put in it. They told me that it'd be no problem. And boy, did it turn into a problem. So now I'm here in Alaska and I live like 25-minute drive from my job and I have no vehicle. Please pray for me. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't really have the funds for a vehicle. I'm here by myself, of course. I live by myself. And I'm a bit worried. I don't know what I'm going to do. If I'm going to trust in the Lord, I guess that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to trust in the Lord that somehow this gets worked out. They're going to try to order some parts next week, computer parts, but then the mechanic doesn't know if he can even program the car. I still owe like $11,000 on it. I live somewhere where you need like 4-wheel or all-wheel drive and good tires. So I don't know what I'm going to do. Where I'm at in Alaska is really hard to find anything decent to drive that's reliable to drive back and forth to work. Oh, I knew something was bad, like when it was already closing time and my car didn't come out of the shop. And then finally the mechanic's like, "Oh, I've got bad news." Like, "Oh, great." On a Friday night, at the end of the day. So that's how my day went. So I'm pulling up issue 21 or issue number 3, A Death to the World. And going to read some of that to try to take my mind off it for a little bit here. Boy, it's hard. It's hard to make it in this country anymore. I can't save up to have a second car for backup. And when you're without your only means of transportation in Alaska, that's about as bad as it gets. It's not like I can hitchhike on these roads in the winter. Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy on me. Please help me. I'm praying that you send a miracle my way. So let me pull up this issue. This is Death to the World, Volume 3 from 1994, the year I graduated, 2 years before I left for Alaska from Michigan. Everything in my life really went bad then. Everything in my life just seemed to be going horribly wrong. But it had been since like my early youth. I wish I would have found God back then. I wish I would have known about this, but I know God is in control of everything. So I'm going to keep faith in God. Made a punk manifesto, the poorest of the poor, the hardest of the hardcore. Where we came from, we've been given everything, enough and more than enough of what we need for physical survival and comfort in this world, plus an unlimited supply of dazzling, hypnotic, high tech entertainments produced by multi-billion-dollar corporate media industry, in which companies vie with each other to suck in the most lucrative target audience. Teenagers with a discretionary income, money they can spend on entertainment rather than survival. Boy, those days have long gone. It was easy back in the 90s to make a lot of money. Everything was so cheap. Not anymore. Now people are moving into their parents' garages and raising their children in a garage. No one can afford anything, and we're struggling. We've been given nothing at all, no truth, no meaning for our existence here on this earth, no God, no understanding of what lies beyond this world, so that everything we do in this world seems only temporary, with no ultimate purpose, no parents or only one parent or two parents with no answers, no love because love without God is only carnal, including parental love, nothing to keep us together when we do think we found love, and in the end we found that we're all alone. No life, only energy, raw, nervous energy, which is not life. A list of do's and don'ts with no ultimate reason for why we should do one and not the other, but more often no limits. Without God and immortality, everything is permitted. Dostoevsky. Where we are, crawling out from under the rubble of the hippie movement, which was to change the world into a utopia, but tripped over its tie-dye t-shirt and fell flat on its face. The hippie movement was the counterculture's last gasp to create paradise on earth. When it failed, we saw that there was no hope, and thus no use to try. Living in despair, relishing even the pain, because the pain was the only thing we knew that was real in a world of fakery, glorifying in our poverty and ugliness, in a society that worships youth, beauty, and wealth. We hid our youth and disfigured our beauty, and lived dirt poor in rebellion against these superficial values of this world, digging in filth, looking in the gutter for something real, because the skyscrapers and factories and supermarkets and department store chains and restaurants were temples of death. Perhaps from the garbage, the people who did not fit into society, we would hear a word of truth. The filth scared us. It seared our skin like sulfur, but it never went through our souls. Trying in our rejection of the world to preserve our innocence and childhood, and this is why the filth never went through our souls. Experimenting with insanity, because what our society considers sane is actually insane. Therefore, perhaps insanity could lead us to a glimpse of things as they are. Banding together, deprived of a real family, living in a society that worships the individual, who worships himself through the icon of the mirror. We formed our own families of misfits, banded together against the world. Trying to be honest, this above all, trying to be who we are, not what we've been told we're supposed to be. Doing anything not to sell out, but we never could find out who we really were, because we had not learned from anyone that we could find anything more than animals with highly developed brains, because no one around us had risen above that level. We are everything that we once were, but now it's all changed. We still have no hope for paradise on earth, for we know that this world will end. Paradise is not on this earth, but in the hearts of people who love God. We still feel pain. We still embrace it and do not turn from it. We know that pain is transformed into something pure and beautiful by the agony of the cross, which conquers death. And the love we feel when we feel another's pain never dies. We still place no value on the superficial values of this world, youth, beauty, and wealth, because all these rot away. But now we don't have to go out of our way to make ourselves ugly. We look the way God made us to look and do nothing more about it. We still dig into ourselves to find the filth, but now, in order to eradicate it, we annihilate it and thus prepare ourselves for the other world. We still strive in our rejection of this world to preserve our innocence and childhood, and now, through interior work on our deepest being, we have the means to do so. We still band together against the world. We have a new family composed of those who are misfits in our society and who reject that society's worship of the individual. We are still considered crazy by this world, which cannot understand our sanity. We still strive to be honest, to be ourselves, not what our not what our society, which is going to hell, tells us to be. We refuse to become slaves to history or fashion or public opinion or earthly institutions. We strive be what we were intended to be, but now we know that we are not mere animals. We have been created for eternity. We see the proof of our immortality when we give and receive love, a love that is no mere human love, but something above nature and otherworldly, and which we know can never pass away with death. And this love is an intense pain of heart, known in silence, which the world can never understand. Where we are going, to heaven, but not without sweat and blood, self sacrifice, self renunciation, and pain of heart, always remembering that the kingdom of heaven is taken by violence, and violent take it by force. Oh, the precious Frodo. No, but the author of The Lord of the Rings really made some amazing, beautiful Christian poetry. I wish I had a copy on me now and I'd read it. But absolutely beautiful Christian poetry. And I think that the whole movie itself was actually trying to lead us back to the Bible. And thanks for joining me tonight. The next article I'm reading from Death to the World, Volume 3, from the memoirs of Sabrina Wurmbrand, who suffered under the communist regime in Romania while her husband was enduring a prison sentence for his belief in God. Pig farm. The skies were ankle deep in liquid filth, the one substance that never froze, a vile, nauseating stench hung over the place and penetrated every angle of our huts. It hung about the body and hair, the very skilly we slopped up with our wooden spoons savored of it. We were better off than the prodigal son. We filled our bellies with the husks the swine did eat. The meaning fell away from things. Death stared me in the face. The whole world was made of tears and despair as never before, and a cry rose from my heart. My God, why hast thou forsaken me? And perhaps, in a psychological condition such as this, I should not have survived for long, but happily it did not last for many weeks. I am convinced the Lord heard my prayers and took me out according to his pain. I had only to learn a very deep lesson, to drink the cup to its bitterest dregs, and now I am thankful that I passed through this hard school, which teaches you the highest love towards God, even when he gives you nothing but suffering. Submitted by Natasha Vasquez. Common suffering, readers' contributions. God of our fathers, God of all men, God of mercy, come heal our land. God of the sun, God of the moon, God of the rain, come heal our pain. See our afflictions and our torment. Don't give your beloved to wicked men. Turn our mourning into a dance. The cry of mercy is our last chance. God of deliverance, God of our song, rescuing captives waiting so long. Common sufferings linking mankind, those past and present, all the same mind. Tammy and Mary, Kansas City, Missouri. Dry cry. My hand feels numb. Why can't I turn out the light? My heart feels cold. Why can't I sleep? I drank enough. O God, only now dare I call your name. Dry cry, my God, I don't believe this lie. I can't live like this, you know I'm tired. Dear God, I'm just a kid who's scared and alone. Dear God, let there be love. Please let love be real. Platanita from Chico, California. At the end of the cycle, this one short phrase of revolving worlds and its changes only prove how short and temporal our life is. We become attracted and attached to waves that in crashing surf and tide bring us closer to shore. When we feel like we're drowning and helplessly being carried out to sea like driftwood, these will press ourselves into the good pages that God will judge us from, end on end cycles, and every beat without purpose or thought makes us feel so alone. And I get so tired of waiting when these skies won't fall. Our true Father is waiting with his arms open wide to receive us, his little children, lost children whom he will hold next to his heart, and all else will be forgotten. Rites of Spring, Senior Matrona, Forestville, California. Many times, my adoptive dad, out of anger, completely broke off the screen door. We had to fix it, for we could not buy a new one, for we were very poor. Many times, wild animals was mostly what we ate during the meals in the winter. While getting wood for our wood burning stove that we cooked on, we had to be careful so our fingers wouldn't get splinters. Many times, work, work, work. That's all what life was. That's what life is and what life is for. If there is work to be done, look at it in the positive way. That time will pass much faster and life won't be such a bore. Many times I actually never was like most of the other kids who could march in the town parade. I started to work really hard in the fourth grade. Many times my life was a struggle to overcome my pain of heart. See, people in my school made fun of me because I was the ugliest and not smart. Many times I still to this day remember what they've said to me. By your actions, the words, you can destroy a person or help that person be all they can be. Many times I was riding in the school van to go home. I would get hit by the male with their fists or with a metal buckle on their seatbelt. It hurt and it was out of hatred. This I could tell by the delight of their faces, and I know that they didn't care what I felt. Many times I wanted to die. My dog Lady, who just died, 9193, was 13 years old, for she knew when I was in pain and she heard my every sigh. Many times while writing this poem, I need to let the pain go, and now I've written enough for tears to start are starting to come. This was a true life poem that's from the fourth grade until 9193, but it's just a small part of sufferings, though. You see, we need them to grow. If you don't want to suffer and endure pain, then growing isn't going to occur. I myself know of some people who wanted to suffer so they could grow. There's no way around suffering, for it'll get you no matter what. What matters is what we do with the suffering, for we can either build or destroy lives. I'm not telling you to start troubles to suffer, but what I'm saying is that we all have our share of pain. Life on earth is short, so let's deal with all the pains that have come our way. It starts with each one of us to make greater or lessen the sufferings of all mankind, even your own pain. Angelina, Wildwood, California. Suffering in Russia. I grew up in the society where just for mentioning the name of God, you could be taken to prison, and where tyrants were elevated into idols of the universal worship, and the people had no freedom to express their belief. More than 1,000 monasteries were in Russia before the revolution, and all of them were destroyed by communists who killed over 60 million people. Hundreds of thousands were suffering in the concentration camps, trying to kill the faith. Communists closed the majority of the churches, and religion was declared to be the opium of the people. The seeds of nihilism brought forth the fruits of ungodliness and lawlessness. People experienced living hell every day, and they had no way out. Nevertheless, many people chose the way of martyrdom because they loved Christ, and their motherland once again was bleeding innocently. That was in Russia, a land with deep Orthodox roots. Another side of the same diamond, which is nihilism, the spirit of despair and ungodliness, appeared in America. The prince of this world, Lucifer, chose another way to kill the spirit of truth. truth. He gave people external freedom in order to get their souls, and he has almost succeeded. Modern Christianity has lost the idea of suffering, the idea of the cross, and offers people a tech and happy life without thinking. Substitute Christianity without the cross, and people buy it. The foe of humankind wants to convince us that we can be happy and live as we want, and that the only thing we can wish is that the others would be like us. But this happiness is nothing but you having fun, and the goal is to take us away from the path to God. But you cannot be happy if you don't know what suffering is. You cannot love your fellow human beings if you don't carry your cross. Let us take our crosses and each with absolute abandonment of the ways of this world. Let us follow Christ on the way to heaven. Many difficulties will we face on this way, but let us not look for the easy ways, because easy ways lead to death of the soul, and we are called not to kill souls, but to save them. Vladimir, Moscow, Russia. And I think I'm going to call it there for now. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just so bummed out. I need to go pray to God that my car situation gets figured out. I have no vehicle. I took it to the mechanics for a battery, and somehow they did something not right. And now a bunch of the computer's fried, and I don't know if they'll ever get it working again. Oh, Lord have mercy. And I'm going to go pray, God, that a miracle happens. I know I'm going to be without a car for a week, and in Alaska, this isn't good. I live by myself. So I apologize that I'm in such a state right now. Please pray for me. And I thank you so much. And we'll get back to this as soon as I can. I love you all always.